Hello and welcome to Views on News. I am Jawad Tehami. Now, Pakistan and the United Arab Emirates have reaffirmed the resolve to strengthen the bilateral strategic cooperation and dialogue. Pakistan's caretaker Prime Minister Mr. Anwarul Haqqaqar had a meeting with the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, during his two-day official visit to the United Arab Emirates. And also, Chief of Army Staff General Asim Munir was present on the occasion. According to Prime Minister's office, during the meeting, regional and global developments were also discussed, and the two leaders also witnessed the signing of MOUs between the two countries pertaining to investment cooperation in the sectors of energy, port operations projects, wastewater treatment, food security, logistics, mining and financial services. The Prime Minister has also termed the signing of the MOUs as a historic event that will usher in a new era of Pakistan, United Arab Emirates economic partnership. And the Prime Minister at the same time has also expressed profound gratitude to the UAE's firm support to Pakistan in economic and financial domain. Also, after this particular United Arab Emirates visit, the Prime Minister will be undertaking a two-day official visit to the state of Kuwait. According to the Foreign Office, the Prime Minister will have meetings with the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister of the state of Kuwait. Also, a number of memoranda of understanding are expected to be signed between the two countries. And also, year 2023 marks the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Pakistan and the state of Kuwait. In today's program, we are of course going to talk about the significance of the signing of a multi-billion dollar memorandum of understanding between the United Arab Emirates and Pakistan. Also, we'll be discussing about the evolution of the bilateral relationship with the state of Kuwait and what areas the two countries can enhance their bilateral relationship in the coming days. For that, we are honored to have been joined in the studio by Mohammed Shaaf Najeeb. He is an economist. Mr. Shaaf, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. At the same time, on Skype, we are being joined by Mr. Aniq Zafar. He's a senior analyst. Mr. Aniq, thank you very much for your time also, for being with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate that. Let me begin the discussion with you, Mr. Shaaf. Now, what does the signing of the multi-billion dollars MOUs between the United Arab Emirates and Pakistan signify when we talk in terms of the trade and economic relations between the two countries are concerned?
Well, you see, Jawad, I think we have to put it a bit into context of how the past year or so has been for Pakistan's economy, right? We have faced enormous challenges, some of those that we hadn't faced in our 75-year history, right? And there was a great, you could say, threat of default. There was a lot of barriers in terms of economic activity. There was, on overall, a slight dip in the hope for the future within Pakistan as far as economy was concerned. But even in this time, in these difficult times, countries like United Arab Emirates, who we have strong ties with since the last many decades, if they are signing these MOUs with Pakistan, that means that not just them, but the overall international community does see a hopeful future, not just for Pakistan, but for themselves in collaborating for Pakistan. So I think in that aspect, these MOUs do have a very significant impact. And then, of course, I think what I would also like to include in this is the fact that we are now gradually moving towards elections within this, which means that an elected government with a mandate from the public is being perceived, is being hoped to come in the near future, in the next few months. So I would say that even countries like United Arab Emirates are possibly looking towards the turn of events within Pakistan after that. And they are trying to, you could say, set their base to develop mutual understanding right in time before the government arrives, so that once the new government is here, they do not have to do this entire homework. They can then move on into materializing these MOUs, and we hope that, you know, these MOUs don't just remain MOUs, but we eventually move towards materializing them, and this could actually contribute towards Pakistan's economic development and growth.
Is that so? So when we talk about the strength of the bilateral relationship between the United Arab Emirates and Pakistan. So you talked in terms of the kind of trust the international community would definitely be having, the kind of homework this interim government is putting in, so that whenever the elected government comes in, there wouldn't be much of required. And you also hope that these MOUs materializing in near future also. So specifically talking in terms of bilateral trade partnership and the economic partnership between UAE and Pakistan, what's your opinion about that?
Well, you see, Pakistan's relations with United Arab Emirates have been long-standing. One, the Muslim Brotherhood, apart from that, belonging in very close region as well. And then we have had a lot of economic support from them in our, you could say, testing times over the years. And I think countries like United Arab Emirates would now be hoping that rather than them just being supporters in Pakistan's difficult times, they could be partners in Pakistan's growth over the next coming years. And you see, Jawad, with the youth bulge that we have, there is a great hope for Pakistan, and it is a great market for the entire world. We have a lot of Pakistanis have been going to UAE over the last many decades, first as laborers, and now even the skilled, educated people of Pakistan are going there.
That's exactly the point I'll be taking your detailed view on later on in the show. Let me proceed towards Mr. Aniq Zafar for his understanding and view regarding, Mr. Aniq, when we talk about, as Mr. Shaaf has also alluded to the fact that the United Arab Emirates has been always supportive when it comes to Pakistan's economic situation and the trade. Now, the statement which has been made by a Prime Minister, he has expressed profound gratitude to the United Arab Emirates when it comes to its support to Pakistan in the economic and trade domain. What's your understanding how this particular relationship, bilateral relationship in terms of trade and on the economic front has been, and what future prospects do you see with the signing of these multi-billion dollars MOUs between the two?
Thank you very much. As by my speak here, that what is important now is that whether we can turn the actual agreement, make it possible in as you mentioned. What is very encouraging is that this time UAE is forward.
For the interjection over here, I'll have to cut you short over here because unfortunately we are having a little bit of distortion. We'll try to reconnect with you to take your detailed view regarding that. Mr. Shaaf, now, when we talk about the geographical proximity between Pakistan and the United Arab Emirates. Now, UAE already happens to be one of the top trading partners with Pakistan. How significant a role this geographical proximity plays between the two states?
I think, you see, Jawad, over the last few centuries, the West has dominated economically, right? But this, I would say, have reached a slight saturation point in terms of their economic development, right? And the tide seems to be turning towards east. There's a lot of economic development going on in the last 30 years in China. We can see how Russia is even evolving its economic future, and even the rise within the Middle East. You could see how Qatar is doing, how Saudi Arabia is trying to move away from its oil dependence. The UAE is also in the same race, right? And in that, what favors them is favoring circumstances from in terms of trade with countries that are close by. The UAE has developed good economic ties with India as well, and they are trying to develop similar strong ties with Pakistan as well. And it's time that we start taking, I would say, we start taking those steps for our economic development, so that the world that is actually looking to invest in Pakistan, they start doing that. Because you see, as I was talking about, we do have a huge youth bulge, right? So that is a market for all these international countries, international companies for the next, I would say, 30 to 50 years.
Okay, so when we talk about identifying the areas when it comes to the needs of the United Arab Emirates in particular, given the kind of youth bulge we've got here in Pakistan, what specific areas or the sectors do you identify where Pakistan's manpower, particularly the skilled manpower with the latest and modern expertise, they can contribute to the United Arab Emirates development and economy overall?
I think services sector is the main area where UAE can gain a lot from Pakistan's labor, and within that, particularly the IT sector, because in recent years, many IT professionals, many IT companies have moved out to the United Arab Emirates, and while people see that as a brain drain, which is a fact, yeah, right, but that also is them making a case for Pakistan's potential, because if UAE is now looking forward to invest within Pakistan, being directly involved in Pakistan, that is a consequence of the reputation that Pakistan-based professionals have made within the United Arab Emirates. So I think it's now time for them that they want to benefit not just from those immigrating to United Arab Emirates, but for their companies to partner directly with Pakistan-based services industries, IT industry, and benefit from them, because Pakistani youth has been doing brilliant in IT-related freelance services as well. So I think that's one area where United Arab Emirates would want to make use of, capitalize on, and
the
benefit
kind of
from.
potential that Pakistan offers in this particular field. Let me once again proceed towards Mr. Aniq Zafar. Mr. Aniq, please continue with whatever you were saying earlier, because unfortunately we had a little bit of distortion.
What I was, hello, yes. Can you hear me right now?
Please go ahead loud and clear.
Yeah. Yes. So what I was saying is that it is very encouraging that UAE right now is looking to invest in Pakistan. What we must understand is that Pakistan, in terms of growth, is a very virgin market. Any investors that come in right now and capitalize on Pakistan's human resource, Pakistan's natural resources will make a lot of money. So Pakistan must capitalize on this situation, facilitate the investment, and what is very encouraging is that this time investment is coming in the areas which are not traditional areas. Like I'm seeing that this time investment is being attracted in mining, which has been a neglected sector in Pakistan. And I was also reading up a story that one of the Pakistani business groups has entered into an agreement with a UAE-based company for mining in Pakistan. So that is also a very, very healthy development, because what we have been seeing in the past is that most of the large industrial and business houses in Pakistan have restricted themselves to very traditional sort of businesses. They have not ventured into mining, into E&P, even major groups are not into IT. With UAE's investment coming into IT, in minerals, in ports, I am really hopeful that Pakistani businesses will also find courage to invest with within these industries. Will learn from the expertise which will be coming in with this investment. So that is overall a very, very good news for Pakistan.
You already mentioned that you are seeing investment coming into non-traditional sectors. Now, when we talk about the initiatives, the measures and the kind of efforts the Pakistani authorities are putting in, not only for economic stabilization here in the country at home, but also attracting the foreign direct investment, right? So how big an impetus, when we talk in terms of SIFC, do you think it's going to play? So this particular investment in non-traditional areas, is it because of these initiatives that we are looking investment in these non-traditional areas?
Yeah, when we talk about non-traditional areas, what we must understand is that the payback period in these areas is rather long. And any investor which wants to come in wants some sort of security that there will be a continuity of policy. There will be some safety and security of investment. So the role of SIFC in that is very critical. The purpose of establishing SIFC was to give this message across the board to all the international investors, foreign investors, that Pakistan is serious in attracting foreign investment, and that
the decision making will be with all stakeholders on board, and any sort of bureaucratic or political issues will be settled by SIFC itself instead of investors running from one office to another. So SIFC's efforts to stabilize and give this message that Pakistan is open for investment was very, very crucial.
Right, Mr. Shaaf, now as the Prime Minister's office statement says that these MOUs will unlock multi-billion dollars of investment from the UAE into Pakistan and will help realize various initiatives envisioned under Special Investment Facilitation Council, as already mentioned by Mr. Aniq Zafar. This time he's seeing a little different in terms of investment into non-traditional areas. How big an impetus when this SIFC is concerned is going to give to foreign direct investment, the continuity of the policies of one window operation, less bureaucratic hurdles, and ease of doing business in return?
So Fahad, recently at PIDE, we calculated that the regulatory sludge, as we call it, the barriers that the regulations cause to businesses, that is around 46% of the GDP. Right, and that is how much it costs businesses in an attempt to comply to all the regulations that are present there. So in that situation, of course, no investor is going to invest in Pakistan, right? And then as you talked about that, okay, yes, an attempt was made through SIFC to try and minimize that cost, right? But what I will talk about one step ahead of that. It's similar to how there is a patient who is not able to breathe properly, and for temporary time you give them an external oxygen support. But while that is working, you try to make sure, you try to give the medication so that the lungs start working properly as well. I think while there is a SIFC working right now, we also need to emphasize on bringing in those governance reforms so that we have permanent solution to this. And that is what is actually going to help Pakistan achieve economic growth. That is what is going to attract local as well as foreign investors. Because remember, no foreign investor will come unless there is a conducive environment for the domestic investor, because the foreign investor isn't going to bring each and everything by themselves. They are going to bring in some technology, they're going to bring in some experience, some capital, but majority support for them has to come from the domestic investor. And that is where I say governance reforms must also be our top priority agenda.
So where do you think where should this one to be started from?
I think it has to start from moving away from this, what we call as the permission regime or the NOC regime, where the world has moved from a regulation-based regime towards the rule-based regime, where basically the government sets out rules within which you have to perform a certain activity, and it supervises that no one violates those rules. On the other hand, in Pakistan, we are still stuck with regulations-based rules where you have to go up, try and take NOCs, try and take permissions before you can actually start. So let's say, for instance, if you want to build a high-rise building in Pakistan, you have to have over 50 NOCs, and that takes over 2 years to gain all those NOCs, right? So that means that 2 years of an investor go to waste just because of that. So these are the things that need to change. We saw recently in Karachi where a building was burned for not having all those the required equipment to fight with fire, right? Despite all this NOC culture. So that's where it needs to start from, where we need to move away from a regulatory regime towards a rule-based regime, and that will change the overall, I would say, attitude of our governance.
And how does the rule-based regime work?
So basically, what happens in this is that you define certain rules and regulations for each and every activity, right? So for instance, if you have to do some construction work, these are the certain things that you need to follow. You bring in insurance companies because insurance companies naturally act as regulators within that, right? So in order to complying with those insurance companies, you end up complying with all those rules. And then the government, instead of
what I understand is that taking that whole process or the procedural things from the government to the private sector, inform the insurance companies?
No, not that. But instead, rather than the government seeing each and every proposal itself and then giving permission that, okay, yes, you are now able to do that, it sets out rules of the game, how you can proceed with this. So each and every, you could say, economic agent within every sector, they follow those rules, they know that, okay, this is how I have to operate, and if I do not operate within these boundaries, then this is the penalty that I have to pay.
But there has to be a mechanism necessarily
course,
in order to oversee that.
Yes, and that has to come from the government, of course. So I'm not saying take that away from the government.
Let me take Mr. Aniq Zafar's view on this. As Mr. Shaaf has suggested, the first thing we should actually start to have the reforms in governance is to go from regulatory regime to rule-based regime. What's your understanding of that?
Absolutely agreed with that. We have had a problem in Pakistan where ease of business on the ease of doing business index, we are not performing very well. And the fundamental reason for that is that we have too many departments, too many NOCs to be had for any business that is done. And again, even if we are talking about taxation regime, we are reliant on transaction taxation, that each transaction must be taxed. We are not focusing on taxing the income of the individuals and the businesses. We are totally reliant on collection of taxes on transactional amount. Impose all the taxes on the transactions, and FBR is happy to report that they have collected tax. That is not the progressive way of collecting tax. You need to reform the taxation system as well. Similarly, there, as mentioned by my honorable panelist, that we need to create structures which automatically regulate things through rules. We do not need multiple regulatory authorities. We need to define rules. The government should only check businesses when the rules are being violated. The state should increase its capacity to check that instead of businesses coming to the government. Because when businesses are coming to the government for these to fulfill these regulations, seek NOCs, then we are also opening avenues of corruption, of manipulation of rules. So we have to stop that. I totally agree with him on that.
And SIFC is a step in the right direction in order to overcome those bureaucratic hurdles and providing that one window opportunity to the foreign investors, right?
Yes, that is, but again, as rightly pointed out, that SIFC can be a short-term arrangement, a mid-term arrangement to the maximum, till you align and streamline all other departments towards a more business-friendly and people-friendly departments.
Now, let me once again proceed to Mr. Shaaf. Now, there is an MOU that has been signed in the area of food security. Now, when we talk about SIFC, it happens to be one of the key areas that are going to be in focus in that particular initiative. There was also a launch of a Green Pakistan initiative also by the previous elected government. Now, the interim government saying that they would continue with the policies that have been established by the previous elected government. Now, when we talk about agricultural cooperation, enhancing the yield here in Pakistan, and when it comes to the bilateral cooperation between the UAE and Pakistan in the area of agriculture, which of the two sides can benefit from the other in what specific areas?
Well, I think there are benefits for both of these countries there. For Pakistan, it's, I think, a huge investment and technological, you could say, shift over here. Because let's be honest, our agriculture has been stuck in the 19th century. We are still following very traditional agriculture means. Our productivity is quite low, and we are still stuck highly on staple crops. We have not invested, we have not incentivized the farmer toward moving towards high value subsectors like you could say pulses or vegetables or such other high value subsectors. So I think with the technology that would come with foreign investors, even from UAE based, the capital investment that can come. This is where our farmers and our agriculture sector can benefit from. And then again, once we actually are able to achieve that, then that becomes, UAE becomes a potential export destination for our agriculture products. And that's where UAE can benefit from us, where they can have a very, you could say, cost effective and high quality agricultural products being imported into UAE, which itself happens to be a very a desert based country, right? So of course they need this kind of agriculture supply from a country that is as agriculturally sufficient as Pakistan, but we need to make those improvements.
So
so that
when we talk about food security, ensuring food security, addressing that particular front, agriculture, does it happen to be the only avenue, a way to actually get the maximum dividend from, or what about the livestock? Is it also associated, the products, the livestock products? Is there any potential for Pakistani investors to get that market over there in the UAE also?
Of course, livestock happens to be one of the largest trading goods across the world. Brazil has developed a lot of its economic strength on that. Even India happens to have developed, being one of the major beef exporters, right? So what Pakistan needs is, again, investment within those fields. We need to establish those, you could say, companies locally in collaboration with foreign investors, as well as develop that entire technological system so that the livestock goods, whether it is through live animals or maybe even through packaged meats, they meet the international standards, the quality assurance standards, so that they are, you could see, acceptable to the international market. And that's where we can gain from UAE's experience. And once again, once we do gain from them, and once we start producing those high quality products, UAE would be a very good market for those, because you see, we have been exporting our rice to UAE since a very long time. We have been exporting other agriculture products as well. So these are the products that are in demand globally, while they also are, you could say, high return giving goods as well, right? So that's where we need to shift our focus from, and we can make good use of UAE support in that.
Right. Mr. Aniq, what's your understanding when we talk about ensuring the food security, how both the UAE and Pakistan can join hands to ensure that, especially when we talk in terms of enhancing agricultural yield as well as getting the dividend from the livestock sector?
Again, as I said, as I was saying previously, that this time we are attracting investment in non-traditional areas. Agriculture also is, in that sense, a non-traditional area. We have had a very conservative view of how the foreign investors should be encouraged to invest in agriculture. I think we are now moving towards a stage where we are welcoming foreign investors to come into agriculture sector. UAE has the capital and has the will to invest in newer technologies, newer seeds. What we are aware is that despite the hard work of our farmers, over the years, we have not been able to train our farmers in new technologies, in new ways of farming, and our seeds are not producing as much yield as we would like. So investment into these areas will help Pakistan. Similarly, water management is a huge area which requires investment and new technologies. Pakistan may become a water stressed country in the coming years due to climate change. So using water efficiently and managing water resources will be an important area. And I hope that with the capital investment of UAE, we can focus on these areas and make our farming lands produce better yields. That is the only way we can become a country which is food secure, and we would be able to export our products. The more we will export, the more money we will have to invest in our farming sector.
Right. Mr. Aniq, when we talk about the port operations projects, in terms of geographical proximity of the United Arab Emirates and Pakistan, an MOU in this particular area has also been signed. What's your analysis of that? How this particular area is going to provide dividend to both sides? And what's required in order to enhance cooperation in that?
again, coming to the point that our ports operation requires fresh investment, new technologies, IT, introduction of IT. If you look at the major ports in the world now, uh, uh, there is intensive use of technology and IT to unload ships and load ships and move ships quickly out of the berths. So all this requires capital injection. With the help of UAE, if we are able to start utilizing technology for our port operations, that will be a very crucial step. Then the proximity UAE, as UAE imports a lot of stuff from other countries. Pakistan can be a huge supplier to UAE, and if the ports operations are efficient, we will be able to export a lot of food stuff, fresh vegetables, fruits, and all these stuffs. That can be very important for our farming community as well. And if UAE is investing into, say, mining and hydrocarbons or refining sector, we will need port operations which can transport all these products to UAE, and from there onwards to the rest of the world.
Right, Mr. Shaaf, your understanding of this ports projects management. Now, operations, how do you think both can join hands in order to enhance the efficiency of these operations?
So look, I'll give you an example from Pakistan's intercity bus service competition, right? So traditionally, Pakistan's bus services were not as travel friendly, but then once came South Korean based Divo bus service, right? And they transformed how bus services were provided in Pakistan. And eventually, Pakistan based bus companies started following those steps, and now they have beaten Divo at their own game, right? Because they have learned the tricks of the trade in that. I think similar is going to be where we, in all the sectors where we are going to cooperate with United Arab Emirates. It's going to be a great learning experience for Pakistan-based companies and how to operate within the modern, you could say, standards, and how to grow and how to do your business. As far as the port management is concerned, I think it's a very important aspect. Again, not in terms of just what financial gains Pakistan might be gaining, but in terms of the technology transfer as well as the skills transfer. Because you see how in Egypt, it handles such large amounts of cargoes that when Suez Canal was blocked by one ship, the entire world supply chain system was blocked. Right. Similarly, in Shanghai, in China, the entire port is managed without a single individual. It's all operated through computers, through different machineries, right? The people are actually handling those machineries. There's no one individual on site on the port, right? So that is the kind of thing, the modern techniques that Pakistan is lacking. And if we collaborate with UAE in that, so we can actually have those technological and skill advancements, and maybe Pakistan's, you could say, ports in Karachi, even the Gwadar port in the coming decade or so could become the hub of trade, not just for Pakistan, but for this entire region in the coming couple of decades.
Right. Mr. Aniq, now let's take your view regarding the bilateral relationship between Pakistan and the state of Kuwait. Caretaker Prime Minister is going to have a 2-day visit over there also. Now, this year marks the 60 years of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the state of Kuwait and Pakistan. Over the last 6 years, how this particular bilateral relationship has fared, and what have been the hallmarks of the strength that it carries with itself?
Well, Pakistan and Kuwait have had a very cordial relationship over the years. Pakistan is a major exporter of human resource to Kuwait, and Pakistan also imports a lot of hydrocarbons from Kuwait. Over the years, this relationship has seen ups and downs, but these have been cordial mostly. Now, this is a fresh impetus to our trade and investment relationship. It will be interesting to see what kind of investment agreements and MOUs are signed with Kuwait. I am expecting that these will also be in line on the same lines as UAE. And again, my stress point is the key point is how to convert these into proper agreements and start attracting the investment into projects on ground. Because frankly, in the past, our record of converting MOUs into proper investment vehicles has been a little, what do you say, not up to mark. I hope this time we can score better on that scale.
Right, Mr. Shaaf. Now, when we specifically talk about the state of Kuwait, now, according to the Foreign Office, there are multiple areas, including manpower, information technology, mineral exploration, food security, energy, and defense. The MOUs are expected to be signed between the two sides during this particular visit. What key areas, now in this particular case, do they differ from what areas are the convergent points between Pakistan and the UAE, and this time around between Pakistan and Kuwait? Or are there more of the similarities between the two?
Well, there are similarities and there are differences as well, because you see, Kuwait has developed its economy on a slightly, I would say, diverse types of products. It has expertise in agriculture, it has expertise in minerals, as you point out, but it also has a lot of expertise in steel manufacturing as well. So I think that is one area that Pakistan government should explore with them, and Pakistani companies should explore as well, because there's a lot that we can learn from them. There's a lot that our skill development can happen based on Kuwait's experience within the steel and manufacturing industry. And then, of course, I think minerals is one area where we have seen only two kind of explorations in Pakistan. One very traditional one where we haven't managed to, you could say, benefit a lot from, where we have done it ourselves, and then the kind of where foreign companies have come, they have extracted our minerals, that they have taken out and then paid us some royalties on that. So again, with Kuwait, we can, and even UAE, these are the areas, as well as agriculture, where we can have their capital investment that is required in these fields to Pakistan-based companies, as well as the transfer of technology and skills that is required to gain, to benefit for our local companies. So I think these are the areas where Pakistan and Kuwait can, should, and must collaborate and partner in the coming years.
Right, Mr. Aniq Zafar, your last quick comments regarding when it comes to further enhancing the people-to-people contacts between Pakistan and the UAE as well as Kuwait at the same time.
Well, there is a lot of potential for people-to-people contacts. We can collaborate in terms of entertainment. We can collaborate on tourism. We can promote Pakistan tourism to these areas. UAE and Kuwait have not only their native population, they have a lot of expatriate population also. If we can develop tourism and promote that, we can also have cultural exchanges. So there are a lot of potential when it comes to people contact. We just have to be more creative and more open to ideas. Already there is a lot of movement between these countries, and we can capitalize on that. That's how I think this relationship should develop going forward.
Right. Mr. Shaaf, your comments, enhancing people-to-people contact. So what more measures are required? We already know that people between these states have already very cordial relationship on a number of fronts. What else is required in order to enhance them in future also?
I think when we talk about people-to-people relations, right? I think that definitely comes from when people meet each other. They learn about each other's cultures, they learn about values, and they learn about the entire country as a whole. And for that, I think what Mr. Aniq has rightly pointed out is the tourism in Pakistan, because Pakistan has some of the very beautiful tourism destinations, and we need to develop a system where tourists from such countries, which we have cordial relations, are able to access them rather easily. so that it develops people to people relation, as well as the fact that these people take positive message back from Pakistan, and that develops a very rather, I would say, pleasant sense regarding relations with Pakistan in those countries, and that would eventually also push their own, you could say, government to collaborate and partner with Pakistan more. So I think that's one area that Mr. Aniq has rightly pointed out for increasing people to
Mr. Mohammed Shaaf Najeeb, Economist, thank you very much for your time, for being with us in the studio. We really appreciate that. On Skype, we were joined by Mr. Aniq Zafar, Senior Analyst. Mr. Aniq, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on this show tonight. We really appreciate that. Now, all eyes are set, especially when we talk about Pakistan on these tours. The caretaker Prime Minister, Mr. Anwarul Haq Kakad, is undertaking to the Gulf states. A lot has transpired. Significant things have transpired when he had that tour of the United Arab Emirates. Likewise, it is expected that a lot of substantial outcomes will be transpiring when he'll be undertaking the visit to the state of Kuwait. With that note, we come to the end of today's show. Till the next one, take good care of yourselves.